I think it's so important to remember why we're here and where we came from. I know. Important to remember our history, why we're here and where we came from. Thank you very much. I'd like to invite up the president of Penware, Representative Cindy Ryu from Washington State. Cindy is the chair of the House Technology Economic Development Veterans Committee and currently serving as Penware's 26th president. She's been a trailblazer as the first Korean American woman mayor in the U.S., and she's a strong advocate for small businesses, economic development, and vibrant communities across Washington State. She's been a terrific leader for Penware. Please welcome Cindy Ryu.
Thank you so much, Matt. Good morning, everyone. Thank you also very much for joining us this fine morning. I wanted to do a brief land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that present-day Bellevue, Washington is located on the traditional and unceded territories of the Duwamish, Muckleshoot, Snoqualmie, and other Coast Salish tribes who have made their homes on these lands and along these waters since time immemorial, and who are still here today. And with that, I will also like to acknowledge all the vice presidents who are working hard along with us and staff to stand for acknowledgement. Minister Travis Kiesig of Saskatchewan and incoming president MLA Shane Getson, Alberta, and Representative Britt Raybould, Idaho. And also we are graced with the presence of past presidents who have worked really hard for us, and we all enjoyed their service. And that is former Idaho Senator Chuck Winder. Richard Gottfried, I believe Honorable Richard Gottfried. Honorable Barry Penner. See? Former Representative Jeff Morris. And he sat right behind me on the House floor for years. And he told me how to not make mistakes. So that was great. And then Senator Mike Cuff. And the only president to serve 2 whole years. Thank you so very much. At this time, I'd also like to acknowledge the Summit Host Committee members to stand. If you know who you are, you've been working really hard to help us make sure that we welcome everyone to Bellevue and specifically Washington State. And so if you've been involved in planning this, including staff, would you please all stand? And you gave us really good input. Thank you. Thank you. We also have private sector co-chairs, and I've had the privilege of working with them the past few months. And so I would like to hear from them. And the first is Diana Burkett Rocco. Would you please come up here? She is the Senior Vice President of Public Affairs and Sustainability at Alaska Airlines, as well as Mary Snap, Vice President of Strategic Initiatives at Microsoft. Would you like to join me up here at this time? Good morning. Let's see here. Yes, right here, please. We already put Mary to work yesterday, and we had a fantastic panel already. And I'm looking forward to much more in the next couple of days. So first, Diana will be addressing us. She is on the executive committee of Alaska Airlines, leading the company's corporate affairs, reputation, impact, reputation, impact, and venture investment strategies. Her career has spanned aviation, healthcare, and government. From roles as health policy advisor to the U.S. Senate Finance Committee to the executive teams of Group Health and Kaiser Permanente. Today, she serves on the boards of Puget Sound Energy and Hawaiian Airlines and is a past chair for Seattle's Regional Metropolitan Chamber. Would you give us a few words, please?
Thank you. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Penware Annual Summit. It's fantastic to be here and to welcome you all to Bellevue. Thanks for each of you for being here this week. I don't know about you, but that video kind of gave me chills. It was really moving and really remarkable to think about the place in the world that we occupy together and the responsibility that that lends us. Thank you very much to my co-chairs. I know that both of you have worked very hard to bring this together, and to the whole Penware team. Now, before I enter into my remarks, I feel a need, given some of the things that you learned about my job in my brief intro, to acknowledge that we were top of the news headlines this morning, and not necessarily in a good way, or not at all in a good way. We had a critical hardware failure in our primary data center last night, and as a result, had to pause our operations for 3 hours. If you know anything about aviation, you know that 3 hours can be incredibly impactful. As you end up with airplanes and crews based in the wrong place, and you have to get people back, and it takes a couple of days to do that. We did return to safe and normal operations at about 11 o'clock last night, but we are in a recovery mode. And so I just want to say thanks, first of all, to the Port of Seattle for their partnership, as most of the impacts were here in Seattle, but then spanned out across our system. And to any of you or anyone that you know or in your jurisdictions who were impacted, I sincerely apologize. And we, are trying to deeply understand the root cause so that it doesn't happen again, but also to make it right with our customers. So now back to regularly scheduled programming. Indeed, there has never been a more important or more interesting time to bring people together across borders, across sectors, and perspectives, and there is no better place to do it than here in the Pacific Northwest. The regions we all occupy may be separated by state lines or international borders, but they are connected by rivers, oceans, airplane routes, train routes, trade routes, economy, families, etc. Together, we represent 26 million residents and 2 trillion in regional economy. We have some of the biggest companies in the world, such as Microsoft, that call this place home and continue to help it thrive. And close to my company's heart, in Washington alone, the aerospace industry generated $71 billion in business revenue and supported nearly 20,000 jobs in 2023. At Alaska Airlines, we're proud to keep people, goods, and services moving and flowing across our region and around the world. Of the 30,000 employees at Alaska, actually 18,000 live in the Penware region. And last year, we served 11 million guests from these states and provinces. We carry agricultural exports like cherries and apples across the Pacific in our cargo hold, and our supply chain spans large aerospace companies that you know the name of to small local companies like Salt and Saw Ice Cream, and many others. We know that our successes, our challenges, and our futures are directly and fundamentally tied to the economic health of the communities in which we live and serve. Back in 2021, we established a venture arm to accelerate and enable technologies that we needed for our future. It's called Alaska Star Ventures, and you'll hear from one of our partners, Steve Wesley, a little bit later this morning, because we realized that we couldn't reach our carbon emissions reduction goals or, frankly, other business goals without enabling and accelerating these new technologies. And we've learned a lot. We've invested in companies right here in Washington like ZeroAvia, hydrogen electric powertrain manufacturer, and others, 12 e-fuels producer. But we've learned that we have to act now in order to enable our future. We can't do it alone. In fact, we signed a 3-way agreement between us, fuel producer 12, and Microsoft in order to bring every part of the supply chain into place to enable that technology to move forward. And enabling policy is critical. 12 is based in Washington because leaders like former Majority Leader Andy Billig and Senator Mark Elias created policy, and many others across political lines worked together to create policy that enabled us to be competitive, and 12 moved here as a result. So these lessons, as I reflected on the Penware Summit theme for this week, building a resilient future through regional collaboration, innovation, and trade, I realized these lessons might also apply to what we're here to do. For employers, our business at least, it is more important than ever to prioritize an environment that provides balance and certainty, and in which we can continue to adapt. To thrive, we compete on a global scale at the same time as knowing that it's an imperative for us to deliver for local communities, from larger ones like Seattle and Washington and Vancouver to smaller ones like Kelowna and Medford. A growing patchwork of regulations and rising costs does make this challenging. And just as we've learned from our investment experience, we need smart, coordinated policy that supports innovation, investment, and regional prosperity, and that we need to learn from one another and work to make it happen. I moved here 20 years ago from Washington, D.C., where I worked on Capitol Hill, and I came because of the stunning physical environment that is so beautiful, because there was an exciting pace of innovation and growth. And at the time I worked in healthcare, and the Pacific Northwest was truly leading the way in showing how healthcare should be done around the country. I love living here. It's home. I love raising my kids here, because the region that we get to explore and work in is astounding. Our economy is thriving, and we have a remarkable combination of homegrown innovation, talent, and resources and natural beauty. But we do face some very real questions, and I'm glad that we're here to wrestle with those together. As our region grows and great new talent moves in, how do we ensure that everyone benefits from this opportunity? As our physical environment changes, how do we realistically and pragmatically accelerate the technologies to sustain the beauty and abundance around us for generations to come? And how do we look clear-eyed at the risks and requirements for economic success and work together to find a balanced way forward? Steve Wesley and I will talk about a few of these questions later this morning, and they're tough questions, but they're good ones to have an opportunity to answer, and that's why we're here. Having worked in government and the private sector, I know how complicated it is to enact policy and to do business that sustains durable progress, and how imperative it is that we seek to understand one another and work on solutions together. There's huge reason for optimism, so much innovation, so much global uncertainty as well. So as we stay at Alaska, let's control what we can control. Let's work together to create solutions that help us thrive together, not state by state or province by province, but regionally, collaboratively, ambitiously, and pragmatically. I hope it's a great and productive week, and I wish you all a great day today. Thank you.
Thank you so very much for being here in spite of that difficulty. I'm flying Alaska to Boston next week. Okay, good. Thank you very much. I've been reassured. Okay, I will. Thank you. Next is Mary Snap. She brings 35 years of leadership at Microsoft, where she now drives strategic initiatives in the office of the vice chair and president. She's a former head of Microsoft Philanthropies and deputy general counsel. Mary is a trusted voice on technology policy, AI, and corporate social responsibility. She has served on numerous nonprofits and advisory boards across the country. Welcome, Mary. I know, it's precarious. Okay, let's do that. Thank you.
I think that was probably the hardest part, was managing how to get around there. Greetings, everyone. It's a true honor to welcome you to the 2025 Penware Annual Summit here in beautiful Bellevue. I want to begin by thanking Congress Representative Cindy Ryu for her thoughtful opening and for her leadership in Olympia as well. And I'm delighted to be joined this morning by Diana Burkett-Raco of Alaska Airlines, another organization who is just deeply committed to the future of this region. As the industry co-chair of this year's host committee, I'm proud to help open the summit that reflects the very best of what our region can be: collaborative, innovative, and resilient. This year's theme, Building a Resilient Future Through Regional Collaboration, Innovation, and Trade, could not be more timely. This is a moment of both challenge and opportunity. From economic uncertainty and affordability crises to geopolitical tensions and climate change, the Pacific Northwest and Western Canada are navigating a complex terrain. And that's not all. This moment of profound transformation is also driven by awesome, and I mean like awesome, innovations in artificial intelligence. As AI rapidly diffuses across every sector of the economy, the pace of change is both exciting and sometimes alarming. Workers and students who understand how to use AI will have a significant advantage, while those without skills will risk being left behind in a rapidly evolving economy. Like parents, teachers, and other employers, we too are concerned here at Microsoft. Developing AI tools that center humanity and elevate human progress is where we start. But we also must work tirelessly to make sure that people are not left behind. By 2030, nearly 60% of the global workforce will need new digital skills. But today, only 25% of the youth, let alone people like my age, globally have the skills that they need for the AI economy. That's why this month we announced Microsoft Elevate, a new initiative to help close this gap. Through Elevate Academy, we're committed to helping 20 million people around the world gain in-demand AI skills in the next 2 years. We're also investing $4 billion globally over the next 5 years to support nonprofits, community colleges, and K-12 schools with AI, cash grants, and cloud services. This investment, of course, capitalizes on work being done in the Pacific Northwest and our neighbors across all borders. This is about more than just technology. It is about opportunity, inclusion, and preparing every community to thrive in the future of work. Now, this year also marks Microsoft's 50th anniversary, a milestone that reflects our roots here in the Pacific Puget Sound and how we have grown alongside this region. Our success has been shaped by people, policies, and partnerships that define Cascadia and the broader Pacific Northwest region. And we remain deeply committed to giving back through civic engagement, philanthropy, and public-private collaboration. But we also recognize the urgency of this moment. Across the region, we face real headwinds, affordability challenges, strained cross-border trade, and a growing disconnect between economic vitality and public perception of where we are. That's why at Microsoft, we are doubling down on our role as a civic partner, supporting housing, education, sustainability, and inclusive growth across the region, and why we are excited to partner with business, governments, and civic organizations to work together on issues that affect us all. Penware is a powerful platform for this work. It brings together legislators, business leaders, academics, and community voices from across the United States and Canada. It's where we can have hard conversations and hopeful ones, where we can build trust and alignment that is needed to move forward together. So as we begin this summit, I invite you to lean in, share your insights, challenge your assumptions, and most importantly, imagine what we can achieve when we act not just as individual jurisdictions or sectors, but as a united region. Thank you so much for being here. Let's begin.